Hey, welcome to the Heroes You Deserve. I'm Henry.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Richard.
We're going to discuss the recent new trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Dose, Volume 2. And I guess we just watched it. We watched it twice. First thoughts, Richard?
It looks funny.
It looks funny.
I mean, we're gonna get a lot of jokes. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Play to the strengths of the original movie. I don't know that the story's gonna matter. I don't think it will matter. I think it's just as long as these guys are doing their thing, and we got Baby Groot now in a Baby Groot voice, and
Dance Off Part 2.
you're gonna go with what worked, and I don't know.
Formulaic, right? Gotta stick to the fire. If it works,
if it works, I don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do we even know who the villain is gonna be? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Just have a really good soundtrack. Wow. Have a really good soundtrack. Have a Baby Groot with a Baby Groot voice. Sure. It's gold.
Yeah.
It's gold.
Pretty much what he said. It looks like we're playing off all the strengths of the characters. Dave Bautista, I think I said earlier before we started recording, is a national treasure. The man is hilarious in the best sort of way. He's just very, and especially as Drax, very honest and brutal. And
has he acted before though?
No, he's a pro wrestler, man.
That's acting.
I mean, that's a bit of acting,
yeah,
but not on
like
that level. I mean,
he was in Skyfall, but he never spoke a word. He was one of the bodyguards.
So
no, Spectre. My bad. It was Spectre.
So yeah, we're looking at a guy who's going to probably end up having a pretty storied action movie career. I'm glad that he's involved in Marvel Comics, and he is Drax.
Well, there've been plenty of wrestler crossovers, though.
Oh sure, Roddy Piper. We've had of course The Rock, Hulk Hogan,
and Stardust crossing over into Arrow.
That's right. Stardust was an Arrow,
I don't watch that,
of course Stephen Amell had his brief stint in this past year's SummerSlam, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I remember that.
Good stuff.
I know. Yes, it's fresh. I know there's been rumors, and we don't know. I don't think we know who the villain is, do we? I mean, I don't even think I remember reading that.
I know that Ego is supposed to be in the movie, but I don't know anything.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And he's somehow going to be, spoiler alert, Star-Lord's dad?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, that's the rumor.
Right.
But again, I don't know that anybody is going to the movies for anything other than what we just saw in the trailer.
Well, I know because, and again, when Guardians of the Galaxy 1 came out, I mean, they kind of really made it that this is a very different Marvel movie.
Very tonally completely different than the standard
Marvel cinematic.
Yeah, MCU. We don't have the usual either let's fix a broken man.
They're a-holes, and it was quirky. It seems more comedy. Really.
It is definitely off the hip. This is very much like Ant-Man, where they're letting the character sort of be the character, and the fact that there's a superhero movie wrapped around it is sort of a secondary note. Same with this. This is sort of space cowboy drama / comedy with the superhero element because they are, of course, wrapped around comic book characters. But this is very much Buckaroo Banzai, very much Firefly.
And I think it's safe to say that the two breakout stars of Volume 1 was Rocket and Groot.
Yeah.
Would you agree with
that? For CG characters, they had more charisma than Bradley Cooper, of all people, who's easily one of the most charismatic actors in existence today.
He's handsome.
He's a good-looking guy, too.
Yeah, and I think he was channeling a little bit of Face from the A-Team in Rocket's performance.
Sure.
If you watch A-Team, which I thought it was a lot of fun, and he played Face, his attitude and his kind of demeanor as Face seems to feed into what he does as Rocket. They're very, very similar characters. And when I watched Guardians 1 for the first time, I mean, I was just cracking up at how he had kind of graduated from
American Sniper,
into this role, but it's not a stretch for him because this is something that he's definitely very good. It's in his wheelhouse.
And then you have Chris Pratt, who's just this wholesome, good character. Like everything he's in, I love it. Like I don't watch a lot of Parks and Rec, but the episodes that I really did like, they were centered around him. He's got this comedic honesty that I don't think you can replicate. Very much. he's sort of, I hate to say this, very much like Ryan Reynolds. He's a good-looking guy with good comedic timing, who has good line delivery.
I think he's funnier than Ryan Reynolds.
I know, no. That's sort of where I was going. Where like I hate to put him in the same sentence because he's so much better at what he does, but it's that same sort of charisma where he sort of just has to be himself.
He's a natural.
Yeah, he's 100% that. You could put him in anything. He's going to be Chris Pratt.
Well, Jurassic World, he did good for an action, straight up action, you know?
Yeah, but just like you were about to say, he has there's a problem with Chris Pratt in that he's like Ryan Reynolds, is that he's basically just playing Chris Pratt in almost every movie that he's in. Very much the same way Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan Reynolds and everything. He really he doesn't change things around, or, you know, he is who he is, and that's who he's going to play. I mean, his role in
Jurassic
Parks
World?
and Rec, the comedic parts, right? The comedic parts of Chris Pratt are all the same in every character. And there's really, you know, they're all interchangeable. And there's nothing bad about that. But
his recent role too, in the Western,
Magnificent Seven.
Yes, thank you. How did that?
Which I did not see.
One of again,
sort of
him being Chris Pratt with a bit of a Southern accent.
Sure.
But every bit is likable.
Right.
Just, it's a character quality that some actors it's a curse to them. I think in his case, and probably in Ryan Reynolds as well, it's an asset. You could argue that maybe like Al Pacino and De Niro are pretty much Al Pacino and De Niro in every movie that they're ever in. They're sort of just playing themselves with the volume turned up or down, as it were.
Hooah.
Yeah, just variations on a theme. But that's sort of the comfort that you get from like actors like that. It's like, you know what you're getting into when you see a movie with them in it. You could say the same thing about Bradley Cooper, and even now Zoe Saldana is becoming so prevalent in films that, you know, when you see her in a role that she's just going to be the strong female archetype.
I mean, she's been in 3 big franchises.
Yeah.
Guardians, Star Trek, and Avatar.
Yep.
Which is going to be a franchise eventually. You know?
Oh, I think it's like filming parts 2, 3, and 4 concurrently or something.
2 and 3 for sure. Let's talk about the acting chops of Vin Diesel. Who has not been in Brownsville, by the way, anyway.
Never in Brownsville.
Yes, never in Brownsville.
No matter what Facebook told you, he was not in Brownsville.
If it's on Facebook, it's real.
Yes, he was at the airport, but that's it.
Yes, never.
But he wasn't.
Right.
Didn't really set foot into international waters. But
Vin Diesel.
I don't know, man.
I mean
obviously he's adding inflection and intonation, but a lot of that's being done in post-production as well. So I don't know that you needed to have him there. I'm super stoked that they did it. It's cool that they...
From what I understand, I think you mentioned it or something, where he had the actual James Gunn script where he had a script of what he was supposed to say, but he was saying, I am Groot. Didn't you say? I heard someone tell me that there was an actual James Gunn script of what Groot was supposed to be saying for Rocket to understand him, but he was actually saying, I am Groot the whole time.
Well, that's an interesting bit of...
If that's true.
That's an interesting exercise as
so
an
that
actor.
way he would know how to inflect it?
Correct.
Yeah, the same way...
So if I was about to say, like...
Well, they did that in Game of Thrones.
I thought his role was weird, but, I understand it. I'd say, I am Groot. I am Groot.
Right.
I am Groot.
Right.
Yeah, they did that in Game of Thrones, where they had a linguist. No, they had a linguist come in and create the entire Dothraki language. But as they were performing the Dothraki language, they actually told the cast, this is what they're saying. So for example, as Daenerys was talking in Dothraki, she knew what she was saying. That way she could inflect it accordingly
I'm a cunning linguist myself.
Oh,
I don't know about. Can we have to cut that one? And I'm not drinking to that one. That's a bit below my already low standards.
No, it's not really.
So I believe it's still.
But he had a similar role in Iron Giant,
which I've never seen.
So I mean, he didn't have a lot of lines, but a lot of it was.
But it was the same line, though, was it?
Well, he didn't say I'm Groot.
Look,
that's you're asking. But
bottom line, people are gonna go watch this movie for the fun of it, It's the comedy of it, the special effects. It's the the blockbuster action movie. Nobody's gonna care about the story. Nobody's gonna nitpick the story. Nobody's gonna care because it's Rocket and Groot. It's funny. It's Star Lord.
Well, that's not what we have you though.
No, but I mean that's goes back to my point of how everything is judged based on what we want or what we expect.
It's
from
like
a
Animal
movie.
House in space, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
and as long as we
it's
get
fun.
as long as it's fun, it doesn't matter. It won't matter. And yet, but if you flip it around and you go to something else that maybe is not supposed to be fun, well, now I'm going to start picking at it. And it's great that they found this niche and this is their area, because when you create movies like this where you watch a trailer, you watch a teaser, I already know I'm going to like it, but not because I know anything about the story. I don't know anything about the story. And that's the point. Like, I'm going there because of the characters. I'm going there because it's going to be fun. And I don't know if Marvel in general has done this, but Guardians has definitely done this because they're just playing on the strength of the cast. They have a very, very good cast. I mean, not even talking about what movie this is, but just in other movies that they've been in. And
they've all got good credit.
They're very, very good.
Yeah, but they're getting C-level characters that nobody
It doesn't
has
matter.
ever heard of.
It doesn't matter because
they have the absolute freedom to do whatever they want.
Well, that's true.
Because no one's going to say that's not how it was in the comic book.
That's true, and that's my point. So when I'm watching this, when I'm watching Guardians, I don't know anything about Guardians. All I know is like, oh, Baby Groot's cute and funny. All I know is that Rocket's funny. All I know is that Drax is laughing. I'm laughing my ass off because of Drax. That's all I know. And so they can get away with giving us just whatever level of story because it doesn't matter, because those people are not going to be buying tickets for the story. They're going to be buying tickets for the fun of it and the laughter of it. Whereas maybe in another comic book movie, whether it be Civil War or whether it be
I think
BVS,
Suicide Squad is very similar to this. I mean, they're unknowns. There's a group of
It tried to be.
No, it was a little
music
tougher.
was integral in both.
No, because what Suicide Squad did that was maybe a good or a bad thing is that it incorporated the Joker and Harley Quinn to an extent, and everybody knows the Joker, or at least everybody thinks they know the Joker. So when you're going to put somebody like that on the screen, there are already expectations.
Well, didn't you think that kind of overshadowed like what could have been a cool
And that's what I'm saying.
misfit character
But only
show?
because we had expectations.
Yeah.
And so when you're watching a movie with no expectations about characters, it's a lot. You can do whatever you want. But when you start throwing in characters, if it had been another villain, maybe no one would have noticed. But because it's Joker, I mean, all of a sudden,
I
whole
see what you're getting at. It had like a maximum radius at that point. Like it was centered on this. It can only go around those characters so much.
And then you're using everything you've known about Nicholson, about Ledger, about all of these other Jokers that
you're
we've ever
filtering
seen.
it through several lenses.
And all of a sudden, whatever they're trying to do that's fun doesn't even matter.
That's an
You don't even
interesting
notice
take. I
it.
hadn't considered that.
Because you're
That's-
just focusing on what they're doing wrong. Whereas in this case, you don't give a shit because you're not there for Star-Lord. I don't know anything about Star-Lord, but it looks fun. It looks funny. I want to watch it. And that's I think the issue that I've been having with fan reactions to comic book movies is that we each go into these movies with looking for different things,
Preconceived notions.
right, and grading them accordingly, and it sometimes tends to be unfair, especially with critics. Critics go to see a movie like this, and it's brilliant, and it's funny, and it's quirky, and blah, 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 blah. Critics go to see Suicide Squad having an expectation of who the Joker should be, and then when it's not, this movie sucks, and ignoring the funny, cool parts. So it's a weird kind of a situation. I mean, I like that they make movies that are fun like this also, but I want people to understand the hypocrisy and how people critique movies, because they do. There is a hypocrisy there.
Well, not only that, it's biases
Yeah.
towards certain characters.
Or Marvel. Right?
You think I'm biased?
In favor of or against, because I've seen
Right,
reviews that made no
sure.
sense to me, and others that were like overly gushy. We're like, okay,
Right.
it was a good movie, but it wasn't that
Yeah.
fucking good.
And that's
or
why
it was
Yeah.
it was an okay movie, but it wasn't terrible.
That's why I have the issue with it, and I know I come across as pro DC, but it's not so much that. Is that
embrace it.
It's
okay.
that look. You see this movie here, and I am a DC fan, but I want to see this movie. It looks funny to me. But I know what I'm getting. I'm not going in there with any preconceived notions. Whereas when I went to see, for example, Winter Soldier, I thought I was going to see the Winter Soldier story, and it wasn't that at all. So, even though it was a really cool thriller and everybody loved it, it wasn't the Winter Soldier story. So I felt legitimate in my gripes against it. But we're all going to be looking at movies differently through a different lens. We all go in with preconceived notions, expectations,
Yeah,
and
but you could say that the best parts were in this trailer because we don't know who the villain is. We don't know how the
Yeah, the funny thing is you could have made that same argument for the first film. Is that we saw a bunch of like funny scenes, and you could have totally been like, okay,
and a great song.
are we watching the only
Uka
funny
chaka.
thing? But
Yeah.
damn, did that movie deliver? But you've got a hell of a director in James Gunn.
But it
helming
delivered because it gave us what the trailer gave us, which was fun, comedy. We don't know who the villain is, and even after we saw Guardians of the Galaxy, we still didn't know who the villain was.
Oh, you know,
like, who was that guy?
You know what? Here's the thing that can happen with action movies. You can make an action movie that has a villain around which the story develops. So you look like at a film like the Dark Knight, where
Okay.
the film revolves around the Joker.
Sure.
You look at a film like Die Hard, where the film sort of revolves around Hans Gruber.
Mm-hmm.
John McClane has his moments, but really we're watching Hans Gruber trying to be an asshole and McClane reacting to him. The best films in action, the action genre, tend to have that villain centric.
a strong villain.
Or you have a film like, say, Commando, where it's all about the hero just kicking ass. Where it doesn't matter what the story is, so long as it sort of has a tenuous thread running through it, we're going to suspend disbelief and totally go in for the ride because it's fun.
So we're comparing Marvel movies to Rambo
Yes.
or Commando.
Yeah, Commando.
Yeah, I mean, and
And
again,
you
it's
look at Guardians
successful.
of the Galaxy,
You're
and
right.
it's exactly that. I don't care how they struggle through. I want the characters to be cool, funny, maybe have a soft side eventually, just to balance it out and make sure my girlfriend wants to come to the movie with me, and she's not sorry she did, or wife, or you get the of course the guy doing all the action
For
shit.
sure. And I
Either
can see-
give me all funny with a story running through it, or give me all action with a story running through it. And you can make that argument for most action movies. And those are the ones that sort of escape the genre, like The Dark Knight. They could easily just have been a crime drama, but it happens to have Batman in it. So that's extra cool. We haven't quite had that one in Marvel, but we do have the fun, popcorn munching, funny action comic movie now. We have that series. We have the comics version of Lethal Weapon, or 48 Hours. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Give me these characters doing almost anything, and we'll probably pay for it. And that's a good place to be in if you're a writer, because you can literally get away with anything. If you want to make them do, like, okay, here's the A, B, and C. I don't care what happens in between those letters, but let's just get there. Great place to be as a writer. Great place to be as a director. You can go so many places with a character. Let it have fun with itself. The audience is already bought into it, so you're good. Great place to be. It's just, how do you go wrong with that formula?
And
why break from it?
And keep milking it for sure.
I would like to say I'm going Commando right now.
That I can confirm. I can
Yes.
confirm that. Yes.
I know we saw a new character, Mantis.
We did in arguably the most hilarious moment of the trailer.
Yes.
Richard can't even keep himself straight thinking about it.
It was
It's
just so funny. The way Drax laughs and just kind of,
It's so dramatic. It's overly dramatic, but honest.
Yeah.
And that's, again, Dave Bautista's
And before you
gift.
ask, no, I have no idea who Mantis is, and it doesn't really matter, does it?
It doesn't
It
matter.
It doesn't even matter.
But no, she has connections
and
to.
you can't see me either.
That's right. She has connections to. She married Swordman, who has connections to Hawkeye. No, and Kotati-
Swordman, really?
Swordsman trained Hawkeye when he was starting
And
out.
I guess he wasn't a very good trainer because Hawkeye went to the bow and arrow.
Right. Well, they retconned him a little bit. So
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Swordman.
But again, like I said, based on just what I'm seeing, I'm of course gonna watch the movie. Of course, it looks funny. It looks entertaining. Just Marvel doing what they do.
And one of our theories, or I think it was my theory, we have yet to see this Soul Stone, and I think we theorize either Thor 3 or maybe possibly
This film,
in this film. I mean, I think it's maybe somehow tied to Ego, maybe just giving him the soul, maybe Because he's
to
a living
have-
planet, and somehow
Sure, maybe
he
that's
made it
how
with
he
Star Wars.
becomes sentient and human.
He was man for a day, kind of thing, you know.
Maybe you get that. Sure.
I don't know. Why not?
And I think what was important in Volume 1 trailer, Volume 1 movie, and I think even in the Volume 2 trailer is the music. The music
Yeah,
was very
that's-
important.
It's going to be another big part of it for sure.
It's basically another
Quentin.
character in the film,
Sure.
which is again made famous by Quentin Tarantino.
Sure.
Some other directors like Guy Ritchie have done well trying to emulate that. Really making the music a character in a film or in a TV show. We were just watching clips of people performing the Game of Thrones theme song and the Doctor Who theme song. When you have music so strong that it evokes emotion, it's a good place to start off from in writing, because or even working backwards from the writing, because you can, in perhaps a serious moment, use lighthearted music and don't have to write in the levity. People might expect a line that's delivered subtly to not land, but if the music's sort of whimsical and fun, like your mind's already in that mindset, and so you might catch the sarcasm where you wouldn't otherwise if the music had been kind of monotone and sour. It might have seemed more like dark. In these films, it looks like they're using the music as I want to say kind of like a fighter's entrance music,
Sure, I can see that.
like
Just,
kind of
yeah,
like
tone.
here's this badass guy, he's walking out and he can probably punch and kick really hard. You want like the metal music, or they play maybe something orchestral to show that they're particularly adept at their skill. In the movies, it's more like, let's set the tone for the scene by playing this iconic, easily recognizable song that will get everybody sort of expecting a certain mood. And it's really American music. I'm not going to be too jingoistic in this, but tend to lends itself towards this, where we have very anthemic songs.
Right, because I'm gonna again compare it to the other band of misfits, which was Suicide Squad. They both had their good use of pop music,
Sure.
more mainstream music, but there's been criticism of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they don't have great compositions or great scores that the DC Cinematic
Right, it's
Universe.
not-
is
I
known
would have
for,
totally-
right?
It's not fair, but it's true. I mean, when you're comparing, but there's only been 3 movies.
Yeah, the only ones that stick out in my head are the Captain America score,
Unfortunately,
and the Ant-Man score, and the third, actually, for all the hate it got, the
Iron Man 3.
the Iron Man 3 score
You
was
see,
actually really good.
for me, I don't remember right now off the top of my head any of the Marvel themes. I do remember Man of Steel, the piano, the Clark kind of theme.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hans Zimmer is like, that very powerful Hans Zimmer stuff. I mean, it's
Inception.
it's very recognizable, and so the beat. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't really remember Batman's theme so much, but it's Superman's theme is very, very obvious, and you can remember it. And of course, Wonder Woman's theme, but that's Junkie XL, and that was.
Who did Deadpool?
But I don't remember Deadpool's theme. So it's interesting how that works, and I don't know if it's just me selectively blocking it out. But if you ask me to hum Clark Kent or Superman's theme from Man of Steel, I could. If you ask me to hum Wonder Woman's theme, I can't. Batman. I don't remember Batman's theme in BVS, and maybe they didn't give us very much of
In
it.
BVS, he didn't really have one, but in the other films, he had a very distinct.
Right, but Marvel's, I couldn't. If you asked me to hum right now Captain American's theme, I couldn't do it.
Really?
Or Iron Man's.
Really? Nothing? Don't copyright strike us, please, please, Disney, please.
Well, I mean, maybe, but not Ant-Man. Like, I don't.
Oh, they had that cool They had a really cool spy movie.
I just read Batman.
Everybody knows that one.
So yeah, sure. So using modern music, because I don't know who composed the theme for Suicide Squad. I don't know who the composer was.
I couldn't pick an actual. Again, it was the pop music that I remember the most.
Yeah.
It's not the score, and in a film like that, that's perfectly okay. I mean, you look at a film like and it's goofy, but what is it? Oh gosh, Heath Ledger. He's a knight.
Knight's Tale?
A Knight's Tale. None of that music makes any sense in the context of the film. But again, it's familiar and it's fun and it sets the tone for the scenes, and it's so juxtaposed against the story that it makes it.
That may have been the first movie to do that.
I think Romeo and Juliet did it first.
Romeo and Juliet. Wasn't that Chris the Great Gatsby with Leo? Wasn't that a lot of hip hop?
Well, it's far after that.
Yeah,
but
Romeo and Juliet, though, the whole movie was weird. I mean, just guns, and it was just... I mean, yeah, it used music,
it's
but...
overtly modernized, sure.
Yeah, but in Knight's Tale, the whole story was still not modern. It was just the songs that were modern.
Yeah, and the writing was a little off the hip.
But
again,
yeah, Romeo and Juliet, I don't...
It's kind of a day and night comparison. So that sums up our trailer review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So let's see if some of our predictions are correct when the movie comes out.
Yeah.
So thanks for
we'll
joining
be here
us.
with you guys, of course.
Absolutely. And again, feel free to comment below how right or wrong we are or what we missed. So thanks for joining us. I'm Henry.
I'm Mike.
I'm Richard.
And see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.